LA, okay. So you're saying you're interested in how to add the membership agreement in the product so the client can approve it and also receive a copy of it. You're talking about like something where when somebody joins your membership, they have to agree to something? Okay. Yeah, I can talk about that. Okay, so let's get started here. So thank you all for joining. So the way that this works is there's a Q&A button right beneath me. Whatever questions you have, go ahead and feel free to submit your questions there, and I'll do my best to answer them. Okay, so Felipe, starting with your question regarding membership agreements and providing approval and a copy. So the first thing that comes to mind is something that people commonly ask about is how to add a checkbox to the checkout page so that people can literally indicate that they've agreed to terms and conditions. So whatever there may be something more in depth to what you're asking about, but regardless of that, this step would probably be something that you'd need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is go to checkout settings and custom fields. And we want to create a custom field for the checkbox. And we're going to call this, let's just say, membership terms. And the type of this will be checkbox. And I'm going to elect not to have this show up on the My Account page because we want to use this as kind of a record keeping mechanism. So we don't want people to be able to modify their selection on this after they've joined. So we will keep it off of My Account page so that people can't modify it after the fact. Okay, so terms and conditions. Okay, so now if I open up in a new tab my checkout page and I view this as HTML. Let's just also pull up the checkout page itself. So this is what the checkout page looks like. So currently we have this gift checkbox here. This might be a good place for terms and conditions. Put it right above the submit order button. So I will locate this text in my HTML so I can find the place where I want to put it. Okay, so here is this. So I'm going to copy this, paste that here, and then go back to our checkout settings and click this button to copy the form smart tag. This will allow us to include the checkbox. So that's the checkbox, and then we'll say agree to terms and conditions. And then here, of course, you can make this text a hyperlink linking to your actual terms and conditions document so somebody can actually have the opportunity to read it. So I'll update that. And now if I go back to our checkout page and refresh, we see, you know, barring the styling here, I'm not going to worry about styling because I'm just trying to functionally demonstrate how to do this. Obviously, this looks really bad, but I'm not going to get into CSS and everything in this example. So if I open up in an incognito window and go to the checkout page, and then I check off this box and submit the order, and now if I, in MemberMouse, go to my Manage Members screen, I see this new member joined. And if I look at their member details and go to custom fields, I can see that they did indeed check off the membership terms and conditions. So now you have a record of the fact that this person has accepted the terms and conditions. As far as the other part of your question, you're asking the client approve it. So in my example there, the client approval is at checkout where you offer the checkbox and you link to your terms and conditions, so they have to read it. And then they indicate that they accept, that's their approval. And as far as getting a copy of it, what you could do is, if it's really important, you could include it in the welcome message that they receive after they sign up. And there's a couple ways you can do this, but I'll show you the easiest way to do it. If they're signing up for a membership level, the easiest way to do this, so if we go to membership levels and click to edit any membership level, there's a section where you can indicate what the welcome email sent to people signing up for that membership level is. So in here, in addition to standard information like giving them their login information and whatever else, in this email that they receive once they've joined, you can include a copy or a link to your terms and conditions. If they're signing up for something that is not a membership level, then you're going to need, like they're signing up for a bundle, you're going to need push notifications. So I just went to developer tools, push notifications, click create push notification. And push notifications in general allow you to perform an action when a particular event occurs. And these are all the events that you can trigger off of. So for example, if a bundle is purchased or added to an account, you can then send an email to the current member. And again, you can have a subject line. And again, in that body of that email, put whatever you want, but then you could also include a link to your terms and conditions so that they have a copy of it. So I think that that covers everything that you're looking to do. All right. Next question is from Rajal. I'm preparing to launch an event in my membership and want to put a little attention toward referrals. I think creating a reward system is a bit much right now, but it would be nice to at least be able to track who is referring who, and maybe even track my top referrers. Would there be a way to do this at the checkout page? Maybe a custom field that a person can enter the email address of someone who referred them, or if you have any other suggestion that won't require a ton of learning curve. Okay, so there's definitely a way to add a custom field to the checkout page to collect the email address of the person who was referred. I'm not going to do that again because I literally just did that. Basically, it's the same process as adding a checkbox to the checkout page, but instead of a instead of a checkbox, when you go to checkout settings, custom fields, and create custom field, you can create a short text field that tells them, you know, did someone refer you, etc. And then you can choose to show that on my account page or not. And now you can copy this form smart tag and include it on your checkout page, and it will be collected at the time of checkout. And then, like I showed before, when you go to your custom fields for a particular member, you can see any data that was entered in for that at the checkout process. So that's something you can do. However, we have actually built-in tools for tracking referrals in MemberMouse, which are a lot easier to use and a lot more powerful because it ties into our reporting. So if you have the ability to create the links that lead people to your site, you're not going to be able to have the control over this at all times, of course. Obviously, if somebody hears about you from a friend or word of mouth and they come to your site, you would want to have this did someone refer you box on your checkout page so that they could enter in some information. However, if you're creating ads or putting links on other people's sites or putting links in emails, etc., then you can definitely take advantage of what we call our affiliate tracking system, but it really allows you to track anything where anybody comes from. So it's really easy to use. If we go to affiliate settings, tracking settings, you'll notice that we have things that we call affiliate keywords and sub-affiliate keywords. So it's basically like a primary and a secondary tier for what can be tracked. So for example, if you're generating a link to go to your checkout page and it's coming from a Google ad, the primary source that you would indicate might be Google, and the secondary source might be some indicator of which ad it was, right? So you have the ability to create keyword aliases that fit your needs. The defaults in MemberMouse are AFFID and SID. But you see I have these aliases, SRC and add. So let me give you an example of how this works. So let's grab our checkout page link. Actually, let me go to product settings. And let's say that we want to create an ad that guides people to purchase our Options Academy membership. So I'll copy this purchase link and I'll copy the static link. And now, what I'll do is just open this up so I can show you. Okay, so now we have this URL, and what we want to do is we want to indicate in the URL where some other things about where it's coming from. So again, if we recall back to our affiliate settings, we had, for the primary source, we have SRC. So I basically put SRC here equals, and then you put whatever you want here. I could put Google, I could put Facebook, wherever the ad is coming from, I would put it in there. And of course, it doesn't have to be the names. These names are for your use only, so you can make them whatever you want. If you like to use GGL to represent Google or FBK to represent Facebook, you can do that. It's purely for your use. So I'm just going to put Google in here. And then I will also add a secondary tier. And remember, back in our affiliate settings, this The secondary keyword alias is ad. So I just type in ad equals, and let's just say it's ad one, whatever, something to indicate to you so that you can know when somebody purchases that product that it came, you know, where when they click on a link from the ad, that if you see ad one, you know what that means. So you can reference it back to your Google AdWords account or Facebook or whatever. Okay, so now that I have this link created, I would actually use this link in the ad itself so that when they click from the ad, this data is passed over to MemberMouse, right? So they click on the ad, open up an incognito window, and they end up landing on this page, on the checkout page. Now, in the behind the scenes, MemberMouse has seen that source and ad data is present in the URL, and it's stored it in cookies. And it will store that in the cookies for as long as the lifetime is identified here, in this case, 30 days. So if the customer makes a purchase in the next 30 days, it will be attributed to this data, the source being Google and the ad being ad one. And of course, you can modify that lifespan. You can make it shorter or longer based on your specific situation. So I'll go ahead and submit this order. And if we go to manage members and we click into this guy and go to transactions, oh, it was a free trial. That wasn't a very good example because it's not going to take effect until there's actually been a purchase that happens. So let me grab a different product real quick, something that's a upfront payment and not a free trial, this guy. Right, and then I'll go back to my URL, replace this part. We'll make sure I'm logged out. Make a purchase. And go to manage members. Transactions. So now on the transaction screen, we can see in the affiliate column that there's an affiliate that's associated with this. And try to in your mind just recognize we use the word affiliate, but it's basically any referring source, right? So we hover over that and we see that the affiliate ID is Google and the sub-affiliate ID is ad one. Now, where this becomes really powerful is when you start looking at your lifetime customer value report. This will allow you to see which affiliates and which sub-affiliate are providing the most value to you over time. So here, the reports generate themselves at different times. So the transaction that we just did is not going to be in there immediately right now. But basically in the affiliate column, you would see Google, and then you would be able to click into Google, and then it would show you all the sub-affiliates that happened along with Google. So you'd see ad one, ad two, whatever the ads that you pass along. And then over time, really the power of this report happens over time because it's showing you, and there's basically a statistical significance that you need to hit for it to be valuable. But essentially, over time, what you can see is the referring sources, which ones are providing you the highest lifetime customer value. So this report becomes extremely valuable, and the key to making use out of it is starting to format your links in this way and letting MemberMouse know whenever you personally are sending someone to the website, whether it's through email marketing. So if it's from email marketing, source could be email, and ad could be, the campaign ID or whatever. however in your mind it is best to structure it. But over time, you're going to be able to see, okay, if I'm running Google, if I'm running Facebook, if I'm sending emails out, which one of those sources and which one of the ads or emails within those sources are resulting in the highest lifetime customer value. And then, of course, once you've gotten enough statistical significance to see those numbers, then you can start investing more in the sources that are providing you more value. So this is really powerful. So I think that I answered your whole question there. Yeah, and so, you know, in regards to topping your track or top refers, this report would be the thing to do. You know, this is all test data on this site. There's not a lot of stuff going on here. But ultimately, when there's multiple things, you can sort by affiliate, right? So, and you can sort by number of customers, and you can sort by lifetime customer value on day 30. So basically, if you sort by lifetime customer value on day 30, the people on the top would be your top refers. And of course, we also have this chart down here, which automatically includes the top 10 affiliates or refers, and will show you graphically over time how they're performing. And this represents lifetime customer value on days 7, 14, 21, all the way up to day 360. So this report is extremely valuable and will help you deploy your advertising spend and promotional efforts in the right places. Okay, next, where am I? Q&A. Okay, this question is from Bobby. We have just transitioned our client to a dedicated server and have migrated the site via updraft plus migrator. However, we can't seem to easily migrate our membership platform to the new server. The plugin moved, however, it appears as a fresh install. None of the settings or users moved to the new domain. Is there a way to move the existing settings and members to the new server? The domain is the same, simply changing hosting. The answer is yes. And you want to be very careful in this situation because it's easy to mess it up. As you're already seeing, you moved over to the new server and you installed the plugin, but you activated it and you don't have any of your settings. All the settings are stored in the local databases on your server. So basically on the old server, all of the data is in the databases. So you need to migrate those databases over to the new server. And again, you need to be very careful with this. We have an article that shows you exactly the steps that you want to go through to do this and the things to look out for. And you want to make sure that you follow these steps very carefully. So I can't really go into more detail on this because it's really literally just a checklist that you have to do. But the reason that you're not seeing anything, and you know, I'll just, Cindy, yeah, thanks. So if I share my screen here, so this is the article that you want to look for. Migrating member mouse to new server. So you can see there's a number of things here that you want to pay attention to. I'm just looking through these notes to see if there's anything I want to personally comment on. So here's where it's talking about what tables to copy over to the new server. Do make sure you back up your data before you do any of this. Yeah, so that's really the main point. The main thing you're doing is migrating all the data. However, everything else on here is basically precautions and making sure that in the event that something goes wrong in your process, that you haven't shot yourself in the foot. So make sure to read this entire article before you attempt to do anything. But essentially, you ultimately need to get to the point where you've copied the data over from your previous site to the new site. And also, with regards to your MemberMouse license, you shouldn't have needed to touch anything there. Because you said the domain name didn't change, I believe you said the domain name didn't change. Yeah, the domain is the same. So my understanding there is then you didn't change anything on the MemberMouse license, which is key. You don't want to change. You don't want to like create a new license with MemberMouse and associate that with the new server. Reason being is all of your active subscriptions are tied to the MemberMouse license. This is how our billing server communicates with your site. So if you create a new license and start using that, well, you've now just orphaned all of your existing subscriptions in the original license. You want to make sure you're still using the same license. So again, you know, this is a pretty straightforward process. I mean, server migration is, and I use that when I say straightforward, I use that in the context, in the container of server migration, which always has its kind of little nuances to it. So, but moving MemberMouse over to the new server doesn't really add any additional complexity on top of whatever the complexities are of server migration in general. So read that article, and if you have any questions about it, our support team is very experienced at this process and pointing things out. So if you have any questions, better safe than sorry, email our support team and ask them about it. Oops. And they'll be able to point you in the right direction. Okay, so I got through all the questions. So my dog's whining to be let out, so I will let him out. And if there are any more questions, post them in. Hey, Sarah, how's it going? Okay, so did anybody who's on have any more things they wanted me to cover before we jump off here? Are we all good? All right, well, then I guess we're done. So, oh, okay, all good. All right, so thanks for joining. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye.